The reason why I started leaving in 2013 was because I tried to kill myself. I drove myself off a 400-foot cliff and I had no scratches. But before that point, I had no experience with mental health. So this whole time during my marriage, he's telling me what a bad person I am, what a bad mom I am. So I started believing it. But again, I have no experience with mental health.
Why did you want to get into that?
Because I believe that there is a lack of access to mental health care. This is 11 visits for $3,000 when nurse practitioners are out here seeing 20 patients a day.
What is up, guys? Jason here. Welcome back to the channel in our series, Nurses to Riches, The Road to Fire. Today's guest has a story that's both powerful and heartbreaking. After enduring years of physical and emotional abuse from her husband, she reached rock bottom, drove her car off a cliff in an attempt to end her life. She survived without a scratch. Instead of letting her circumstances define her, she rebuilt her life and her career. Today, she runs 3 successful practices, earning $263 per client through her telehealth business and charges $2,000 a month from her coaching business. On top of that, she's written 2 books to help nurses learn what they wish they would have been taught in nursing school. This is one of the longest episodes we've had in our podcast, but I encourage you to stick with it because her story will show you the strength it takes to keep moving forward no matter what life throws your way. With that said, let's dive in. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Okay, sure. So I'm a first-generation American. My dad is Jamaican and my mother is St. Lucia. They met in the Bronx, and so they moved to California. But again, 2 non-Americans moved there. So growing up, I was always worried that my parents were going to get deported. Mostly that was my biggest concern for a long time. And then because they were from 2 different countries, I'm like, where am I going to go? Pretty much. Then additionally, around when I was 11, my dad left. And so then I was raised by my mom henceforward until 2016, my mom passed away. So my upbringing, my mostly St. Lucian rich, but also Jamaican rich because after my dad left, a few years after that, he sent his mom to live with my mom. And so my grandmother. And so my mom took care of my grandmother. And that's how I got most of my Jamaican heritage. So I call myself sometimes a Mary John Belushi. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What a mix. So
Yes.
You said in 2016, your mom passed?
Yes.
How old were you at the time?
31, and it was 6 months after my divorce. So it was
Wow. Yeah, that must have been rough. And you said your dad left. What do you mean by that?
He said he was going to move back to Jamaica for a little bit or something like that. And he left. He never came back. He actually lives in New York now, but he never came back into our family.
And you said, how many siblings do you have?
One sibling. My sister, she's a physician, and she's also a registered nurse.
Wow, what a combination.
Yeah.
Wait, so was she a registered nurse and got tired of being a registered nurse, or was her goal to become a physician?
So my sister went to med school in Mexico. She's an international medical graduate. And so while she was in school, she would be coming back to the States. And so she started doing her nursing coursework at Los Angeles County, the Allied Health, School of Allied Health. And so she would work as a nurse and help pay for her tuition. And so her goal was always to be a physician. But after I became a nurse as well, she was like, wait a minute. But the only reason why I'm a nurse is because my mother's sister. That's the only reason why I'm a nurse. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Because before we started recording this call, you said that your aunt watches these videos. That's awesome. Okay, so tell me about your aunt and how she influenced you then.
Okay, so my aunt, St. Lucian aunt, she was the first person out of my family, my mother's family, to come to America. And she came and she became a LVN first. And she worked as a certified nursing assistant. If she heard that, she will box me. So she was a certified nursing assistant, finished LVN and became an RN. And so she was the first nurse in our family. And so when I got pregnant, because I got pregnant at 16, I was like, I got accepted to go to Berkeley, but I didn't go because like childhood, you know what I'm saying, raising a child. And so I'm like, I don't know what to really do with my life. And so one day my aunt calls me up and she's like, Arlene. And I'm like, you know how when your aunt starts talking, right? So because she's like my mother, my second mother,
Yeah.
she's like, get up. And I'm like, she's like, get up off the floor. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, get up because you need to go and become a nurse. And so I went to become a nurse. I did the CNA program, LVN program, RN program, ADN, BSN, MSN, postmasters.
My gosh, you're just gonna keep going, aren't you?
And I'm in the PhD program right now.
Wow, man! And it all took this one person to change your life like that.
Yes, because now you figure my mom, my mom and my aunt were very, very close. And so, they would always have this thing, like if one of them didn't live or whoever would have her, like if one passed away earlier, the other one would take the other's children. So she literally your mom is not here. This is me. Like, if you don't listen, pretty much, like, not like if you don't listen, but she's just like, she's the closest thing to a mom, her and my other aunt, my mom's brother's wife, the closest thing to a mom that I have. So yes.
So when she watches this video, she's going to be so proud of you.
Tell me why she was like, when are you going? Who told you to go there? Because my friend Iman Pedraza, she's the one who told me to, like, why haven't I like connected with you? And then so my aunt's like, I need to know the date. When is it? Like, did you see that? So the funny thing is, she actually saw Iman on American Income, and which Iman was my first client, right?
Wow.
And so she saw Iman on American Income, and she's like, somebody does exactly what you do. Like, and I'm like, Auntie, she's my first client. She's like, you know her? And I'm like, yeah. Yes. And so I was telling Iman, I'm like, why did my aunt just send me your video? She sent me all your videos. Like my aunt, yes.
Where does your aunt work, actually?
She's retired now, but she worked in New York for like, I want to say like 45 years. Mm-hmm. But she also worked in Florida for a little bit. But my aunt bought 3 houses, another house, paid off all her houses in Florida. Like my aunt, she was a true hustler OG. That's who my aunt is. She's how it stemmed. She's like, we have Nigerian blood. We're entrepreneurs. It's in our blood. It's expected. So she's waiting to see this episode. I'm telling you, she is waiting to see this episode.
That's awesome. Okay, let's go back then, because I want to know the trajectory of how you got to where you are today. Okay. Yeah. Because this sounds really interesting. You started as a CNA and then you said, this is not enough. Like, what is this? I need more money. Never enough. Especially because you had a child that you were raising and you had her at 16. Monica, she had our daughter when she was 17. So we kind of like similar situation. And I adopted her right before we moved to California, because I've been in her life since she was like 15 months old, our daughter. Yeah, but I've known Monica since before she got pregnant. Like, we were best friends before she got pregnant.
That's the best relationships.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've known each other now for, I believe, since 2005. So going on 19 years.
Y'all look so cute together, by the way.
Yeah, she's my bestie.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks.
I love it.
Gee, the only reason I'm able to do these things and make these videos and constantly post on social media is because of her. She's so supportive. She's working 8 days in a row right now so that I can focus on this. Yeah.
Dang, that's love, mad love. But people don't see that. Like, now mind you, I was married to a nurse too, right? My ex-husband, he is an ER hospitalist as a nurse practitioner. I'm an ER nurse practitioner, but people do not realize like the support or the teamwork that is necessary for a nurse even to win, right? And so that is underrated. So what she's doing, like, don't take that lightly. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I tell her every day. I'm like, thank you. I thank her every day because I wouldn't be able to do all of this without her. And when she leaves for work, she's like, make sure you record some videos. Make sure you send out a newsletter. I'm like, yeah, I need that. Because sometimes, you need motivation from others.
You need me to be your coach. You need me to be your coach. I promise you, I would take you to the next level. I would take your
Well,
business to the next level.
really?
I'm not. Look what I did. Look. I mean, literally, Iman though. Iman is brilliant. So
Yes, she
Iman is
is.
brilliant. So she literally just took my blueprint and built her empire.
But when people come to me, they come to me because they believe that, like you, I can solve a problem that they have, right? And the problem that my customers have is that they don't feel like they're making enough money and they
And
want
they're
to make more money. And they're willing to do whatever it takes to get there. And for everyone who signs up to our program, because we have a program, they have to, I specifically state, if you want to make this much, you have to be willing to move out of state to Northern California, because we focus specifically on getting nurses to make more money by moving to Northern California, anywhere in Northern California. So when people ask you to help them out, what is it that makes you a credible source? Why would they go to you as opposed to somebody else?
because I've done it time and time again. I've started 4 practices, and I've coached literally to multi-million, like $1 million business. So I've done it, been there, done that.
All right, let's go over that then. The first one that you started, you said you were doing telemedicine, telehealth.
Telehealth and brick and mortar. So I had a brick and mortar in Granada Hills, California, and my grand opening on that clinic was July 2018.
First of all, let's go with the idea. Why did you want to get into that?
Because I believe that there is a lack of access to mental health care. And even what I'm speaking to you right now is because I believe there is a lack of access to mental health care. So if I teach you and you teach your community and your community gets taught, then mental health care or health care is increased just by the simple fact that I've taught you. And so if I believe that, and that's my core, remember, I told you my why, suicidality. If it goes way back to that, then that is why. Specifically, because I want to make sure that nurses, this is like Suicide Prevention Month, believe it or not, nurses know that suicide could be an option, right? But it also could not be an option, because many of the individuals that are dying right now are doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals. And the reason for it is a lot of these nuanced things. Pay, the hierarchy in healthcare, the sexism sometimes in healthcare. It's a lot of these things. So my why is simply to expand access for these people. Like I'm a nurse's nurse. I'm the person that you have a problem, and I want you to say, I can use Nurse Rose as a resource, because 9 times out of 10, if I don't have it, I have it in my arsenal, because I love to keep tools, right? Like Katniss with her bow and arrow. You keep them. You keep them in case you need them. I might not need it today, but I might know someone who needs it. And if I have that in my network, then that means you have it. So if I learn it and you're in my network, right? If I learn it and you're in my network, who's learning it next?
Yeah, my network.
Exactly. So I stay learning and I stay in my purpose. I stay aligned to my why. And that is why choose me, because been there, done that again.
So I want to touch on what you just said briefly, because when we moved from New York City to California, it was like quickly apparent to us that there was a lack of mental health services in California, which is insane, because seeing or hearing that California was such a progressive state, we were expecting there to be more services available here for people with mental health. But in New York, at least I remember the reason why we don't have homeless individuals in tents, for the most part, obviously it's freezing in New York. Nobody's going to want to sleep in the freezing cold. But secondly, we have like a tremendous amount of shelters for the homeless. But I remember speaking with some of our patients, because I work in the ER, so I come across all types of patients, many of them with mental health issues. And they come to us for their primary care because they can't see a primary care psychiatric doctor. And they said they've been given appointments that are like 3, 4, 5 months ahead. And they've run out of medication. They can't even get a hold of their doctors. So it's a huge problem out here. And it's more than I even experienced when I was working in New York.
And that is exactly why. So you can hear a little bit about my story. So I was an ICU nurse. We have to go way back.
Let's go way back.
Okay, let's go way back. So CNA, Berkeley Convalescent Hospital in Santa Monica. I then went to the LVN program and I moved to VA, Greater Los Angeles Hospital, the VA. And I was working there as a LVN tech till I became an LVN. And then once I became an RN, I got my first nursing job at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in the neurotrauma ICU in 8 Saperstein, right? So I stayed there for a large part of my nursing career. And so this was 2007 to, I believe, like maybe 2015 or around there is when I left. So I was there for almost 11 years in the ICU field. So I went from CN 2, 3, 4 to CN4, which like the nursing supervisor, like nursing assistant, nursing manager assistant, like right underneath the nurse manager. So my pay grew as I got different, my BSN, my MSN in nursing education, and also I got my more certification. So I got board certified as in gerontology, then I got board certified CCRN. So I was in ICU. That's where I started. Like my first RN job was in the ICU.
And how much were you making there before you left?
Before I left, well, at that point, I was making about $65 an hour. Because remember, I was a CN4 at that point.
Gotcha.
Even though it's still not a lot of money. But yeah. 64 and time and a half. And
this was back in 2015?
Yes.
Okay, that's actually pretty good in 2015.
Exactly. And I was getting time and a half. That part, right? So I still was getting, so even though I say these rates, I was getting time and a half after all of them, because each of those were 12-hour shifts.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah. So $8 an hour CNA, LVN $19 an hour, and I wrote it down because it's like this is my data. CN to $34 an hour, CN3 $39 an hour. But when I got my board certification, it bumped me up to like 42. Then CCRN, MSN, I went to 56, and then when I became a CN4, I was at $65 an hour.
So in 2015, you decided to leave. Why did you leave?
So I was in the works of leaving from 2013.
So 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Well, 2013 is when I started my psychiatric nurse practitioner program.
Gotcha. And you graduated in 2015, and that's when you started your practice? I
graduated in 2016. So for a year after I left, I was working registry and per diem. So per diem float pool at UCLA in like ICU float pool, as well as at Holy Cross. And there I was making so at Holy Cross, I was making like $85 an hour in the float pool. Kaiser per diem, I was making $76 an hour. UCLA float pool, I think I was making like $80 something an hour. So for a year after I left Cedars-Sinai, I was working per diem float pool, and ad hocing it.
Yeah.
Pretty much like my own thing, right? Yeah. Yes. But the reason why I started leaving in 2013 was because of in May of 2013, I tried to kill myself. That's what happened. The reality. I drove myself off a 400-foot cliff and I had no scratches. But before that point, I had no experience with mental health. Like I'm from the Caribbean. My family, like I told you, no one has mental illness. We don't speak about mental health. I didn't even know, even though I went to nursing school, those pieces did not touch home for me. So instead of me going to get care, because that was more daunting to me, more embarrassing, more a problem, the solution was my ex-husband was sleeping with one of the nurses in my unit. Had a child with one of the nurses in my unit. Yes, these nurses are trifling sometimes. I'll tell you that. Yeah. And husband doing all sorts of things. And I was with him, you figure, from 18. So he's 14 years older than me. 14 years older than me. And I didn't have a dad. Right. So this whole time during my marriage, he's telling me what a bad person I am, what a bad mom I am. So I started believing it. But again, I have no experience with mental health. None at all. And I'm just thinking, this is normal. He's doing all these things that he's doing. It's normal. This is normal. He's my husband. I'm going to defer to him. You know what I mean? He's my husband. I was raised to be like the subservient wife. So I'm going to listen to my husband. And he's older than me. Like he would be like, this is what you're wearing. This is this. This is this. You can't talk to that person. You laugh too hard. You know what I'm saying? Like why I have my hair natural now is because my ex-husband, my ex-husband, he did not like natural hair. I would have to go and get my hair pressed and combed, pressed and curled every 2 weeks, like faithfully, to like for him not to say nothing, just because I had to look a certain way. I had to speak a certain way. Now, let's say even when we go to a place and it's his function or a friend of his talk to me and I'm too friendly with the friend. Oh, so you sleeping with that guy or you sleeping with, and mind you, he had 2 children in our marriage. He's had 2 children in our marriage. So that was the marriage that I was in. So I did not know about mental health. And so my solution, I made a will. I put, the rights to my husband because I'm a bad mom. So if I'm a bad mom, my solution was remove the problem. I'm a bad wife. I'm a bad mom. And, whoever the girl was not whoever, I know who she was. She had a child with him. They were trying to, whatever happened. Again, I'm thinking it's me. So my solution was, if I'm not here, everyone can exist in a better space. And I'm very problem solution. Like if there's a problem, I'm going to find a solution. That's just how I think. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I didn't necessarily process. I worked I didn't process everything to the piece now retrospectively that I'm processing. But my ex-husband slept with my best friend and he called me to tell me about it. So again, everything. Then my mom is ill. And again, she passed away a little bit after that, right? So all of these things, I'm like, I got the solution. If I couldn't, then I have life insurance. If I'm not here, then she gets money for that. Then the children get perhaps a better mother. He gets a better wife. My job is harassing me anyway, and they got all these other people, and they want my position. You know what I'm saying? So have at it, right? And so I had a Porsche Cayenne at that time. I drove my Porsche Cayenne off 400-foot cliff. And I literally had no scratches. They airlifted me to UCLA hospital. And I left the ICU. So, I have my Sharpies. DNR, 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 DNR. Because I'm an ICU nurse. Like, don't trach me. I'm good. Donate. I'm a donor. I'm a donor. You know what I'm saying? Like, donate my organs. Because it's like a sure plan. It's like, you can't live after 400 feet off a cliff like that.
Yeah. So
I lived.
You got sent to the ICU, and were you awake during the accident, like the whole time?
So I blacked out. I don't remember the part after, like from the helicopter ride to the hospital. I don't remember that, but I do know it was a helicopter ride because I remember like the LAFD like being like right next to me on that the red board thing. Mm. And like I was like in the middle of nowhere. Mm. Like, yeah, I remember that part. But
so at what point did you realize what you had done and what kind of thoughts were going through your head at the time?
Yeah, when I got to the hospital. They cut off. So even like at that point, I had just gotten my like ANCC CCRN sweater, like the $65 one. Mm-hmm. And they cut it. They cut all my clothes off because, they were like, she got to have some injuries. When you go to the ER, they cut your clothes off with trauma, right? Mm-hmm. They were like, they got to have some injuries. They thought it was like a level 1, like they brought me in airlifted. So you figure, they were like, it's nothing. She doesn't have one cut on her, nothing. And then they were going to put in a Foley. And I was like, no, please no. So I spoke at that moment and they were like, are you hurt anywhere? And I'm like, no. And then they were like, so why are you crying? And I said, because I'm alive. I didn't plan on like, I apologize. Poof. Yeah. It worked. Like I planned on being the solution. So that was where the solution failed. And so my ICE, in case of emergency, is my ex-husband. He comes to the ER. Great. Now I got to call off work. Now the kids got to deal with you as a mother. This is the type of mother now that they have to deal with. So then they sent a psychiatrist and they were like, no, he was like, I want to be here with her while she's talking to you because she needs to come home because I have a shift to go to. She just fell asleep. That's what happened. That's what he's telling the psychiatrist. She fell asleep. That's what she told me. And so the psychiatrist is like, I don't think that's what happened. But I would like to talk to her alone. He's like, no, I'm her husband, and I don't give you permission. I don't give you permission to talk to her alone, pretty much. And then he was like, after maybe like 4 hours, the psychiatrist like left, right? And so at that point he came back and he was like, I gotta go, right? But if you tell these people that you try to kill yourself, I'm gonna tell the whole world, and I'm gonna make sure that they take your children from you, and all of this. And so I'm like, what do I do? So I'm just there crying. But he's my case emergency, and I have my sister's in med school. My mom's sick, and that's my only family in LA. Like, that's it. My dad's mom, but she's elderly, elderly at that point. So I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to like, okay, well, I got to work up this plan. I got to tell these people, because after that day where he sent me the message that he slept with my friend, I worked a double shift. So I worked 12 hours the night, and then as the CN4, and I was transitioning to UCLA because my plan was to work at UCLA. So I worked 6 hours UCLA as break relief.
Wow.
So, because of course my thing is always money, and also a house, more like all this stuff, right? And so I'm gonna think of this plan, right? Because I can't tell them the truth, because he gonna beat me if I say wrong. And that's the type of relationship we had. And so I'm like trying to think of like how to come up with it. So the psychiatrist, he left and came back in like maybe an hour later. And after he had left, and he was like, I heard him tell you to lie. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
We going that we like you like he was like cold. I'm like pretty much called like cold piece of work. And then so I just started bawling. And then he was like, did you fall asleep? And I wasn't really verbalizing, but I was like, no, because I had never had no experience with mental health. I had no history of mental health, never seen a psychiatrist, never seen a therapist, nothing at that point.
So you said that the psychiatrist heard everything.
Yes.
And what was your story after that?
So I didn't say a story. After that, he told me what he's going to do is he's going to admit me. And then so the next day when my ex-husband came back, he was like, we're admitting her. And then my ex-husband, you dumb. Oh, sorry. Like, you stupid, you messed up my whole entire thing. Now that's okay. Now I'm gonna make sure they take your kids. I'm gonna make sure they take your kids, and it's okay. Now I'm gonna tell people what you did. I'm gonna tell people, and they're not gonna want to hire you. They're not gonna want to work with you. They're not gonna want to do this. They're not gonna do this. None of this. All of this. I'm still at this point upset that I'm alive. You have to understand that, because I'm like, damn, I failed. Like, dang, I failed. And I'm, again, had no mental health treatment, none. Yeah. And they admitted me. And so I told them that the psychiatrist was like, we want him not to come tomorrow. Because like after he came, I cried for like 12 hours after. Every time after he left, I would cry. Right? And they were like, we're not sure what's going on, but can you ask him not to come tomorrow? So I asked him not to come. He's like, well, I didn't want to come up there anyway. Type of stuff. That's just who he is. He still to this day is like that. So it doesn't even matter. But nonetheless, I lived. And when I was admitted, I ran into one of my high school classmates. She was a resident, a psychiatrist resident. Now, mind you, let me tell you who was in the hospital with me, though. Two other nurses admitted with me.
Admitted with you.
You hear me? You missed that part.
Yes, I did.
Yes. Two other nurses, an occupational therapist, and a physical therapist.
Wow.
Literally, the whole hospital was in the ward.
Wow.
Okay, so that part. But my friend, her name is Nancy, and I thank God for her to this day, because she was like, Arlene, Because in high school, I really had good grades in high school. Even though I got pregnant, I still was, I didn't even go through my last year of high school, like, because I was already finished with my credits. So like, I did good, pretty much. I went to a medical medic high school and I was a smart cookie, right? And so, but I got pregnant. So she was like, girl, what you doing? What are you doing here? And I'm like, Nancy, I don't even know, tell you the truth. She was like, don't you work at Cedars? And I'm like, yeah. She was like, where do you work? I'm like, in the ICU. And then she was like, have you ever thought about mental health? And I'm like, what do you mean? She was like mental health nursing. And I'm like, no, I hadn't. But after that point, you know what was in my mind. That's how my mission to be the nurse's nurse started.
A powerful story. Like when people say they have a why, that is more than a why. Like the experience that you had, I can see how it shaped you into the person that you are. And not many people have such a powerful story like that. I mean, everybody has their own story, but I mean, the fact that you almost took your life, you know.
And I was big mad. Like I was big mad, like that it didn't work. Because now I'm like, because mind you, me always trying to find solutions. If that was my best solution at that time, you have to see the state of frame of mind that I was in. That was I'm only going to put forward my best solution. So that was my best solution. And I didn't have any others.
What year did that happen in?
2013. The same year I started psych nurse practitioner program.
I see. Wow. And then you said in 2016 you were done. 2017 is when you started to practice. But
mind you, I went in there. I went into the program in 2013 with the practice starting in mind. So technically, right, if people, even though my start date says 2017 on like my IRS filings, technically the date that I wanted to start the practice was 2013.
Wow. And were you and your husband together this entire time while you were in school?
So the good thing about it was he's a cheater, right? So after we had our kids, it was me and the kids. Even though we were married, I had a lot of me and the kids time. And one thing that I knew was that I'm not okay making what I made. So I met him when I was a CNA, right? And he was already an RN. And so for him, he liked the fact that I was a CNA. And so he was like, oh, you always gonna be that CNA. Ha ha, you always gonna be that CNA. Ha ha, you always gonna be that CNA. And so then I'm like, when I became LVN, he was like, so what? You not me. You know, then the time that I got my first degree before him, so he didn't have a BSN. And I then got my BSN. And then he was like, so you still don't have my experience. And then I had to enroll him in school. And I'll say no more after that. And then in 2014, the final straw was I told him that I was going to go. I was moving. I was going to leave. And he didn't think that I should leave. You know, there's no reason for me to leave, right? Because I'm his wife. Like, there's no reason for me to leave. Our children, there's no reason for me to leave. And so in the process of me trying to leave, he was like, well, no one's going to want you anyway. So to make sure no one wanted me, he pulled out like all the hair, like on like the whole front of my head. And so I was like, what do I do? That day after he pulled out all my head, I was already scheduled to go to work. And I'm like, do I call in sick? I don't know what to do. So I put, like those surgical caps, I wore that to work that day. And I'm like, my lip was big, but I try to like cover it up with lipstick and just like concealer and stuff like that. And I'm like, I gotta get out of here. Like, I gotta go. Now this is after 2014. This is after that. I was still married, right? And so my mom even called the cops, but the cops came and I'm like, I can't tell because I know if I tell, it's gonna be worse for me because he'll lose his license. It's assault. That was big assault. You know what I'm saying? Like big assault, not even like minor stuff. And so my mom, she's like, so I wouldn't talk. So my mom made a report to the police. That report that my mom made was the only thing that saved me. And that's why I'm in Houston now. I got to move away. I got a move away order. But it was after my mom died. Sorry that I even got the move away order. But I only got it because I never, all the abuse through all the years, I never reported, not once. So after he pulled my hair, I was like, I can't wear wigs. Wigs scratch my head. I can't do it. So I just went to the barbershop. I'm like, just bald me out. The barber balded me out. And I walked around with a bald cap until my hair started growing in. But at that point, after my hair started going, I'm like, I can't stay here anymore, because he would be like, there's no way that you're going to stay in this house and not sleep with me, because you're my wife. So then I would put like the dresser behind the door to try to like, not make him try to sleep with me. But it's still, he would still like get me. And then so like the last straw was after I shaved my head, he licked my skull, like my head. And then he was like, oh, you look sexy as pretty much. Sorry, like that's pretty much what he said. And he slept with me. Not I did not sleep with him. So then when that was the last date I stayed at the house. 6 months later, sick, but I haven't had sex. I haven't done nothing. And I'm like, I'm not even thinking, but I'm still having my cycle too. Come to find out, I'm 6 months pregnant. I tell him I'm 6 months pregnant. And now I had filed for divorce that point after the licking of the scalp. He was like, well, whose baby is that? That's not my baby. That's not my child. He didn't claim our son until he was 2 years old. And only because the judge was like, oh, he said she lied on the paternity test. And then so the judge was like, okay, well, you get one. And this time you pay for it. And he was like, all right, no, it's okay. That paternity test is good. Because the paternity test, like at that point, I was like, it's $500 test, which is BS when our son looks exactly like you. That was our third child together. So the divorce took from 2014 till 2019, pretty much. That is when I left California, in 2019. The exodus is what I call it, when I got the move away order. And the only reason I got the move away order is because I got a restraining order that he didn't want the restraining order to be on his record. So I traded my restraining order for a move away order just so that I could go. Because I'm like, I can't, even after I left him, he would still like show up to my house. He would like, one year, him and the girl, like, I guess they had the white Christmas tree and they didn't want it. So he put the Christmas tree, like any old furniture, like any other stuff. My brick and mortar, he broke the window, he broke in. Like, I couldn't stay in California, right, with this man. So I had to leave. And so when I got the move away order, like I said, I traded my restraining order for my move away order. So I said, I will release this restraining order on you if you let me go. Like, let me go. And I let the restraining order go. And tell me why he showed up in my house. So I moved to my mom's house. This is when I moved to Georgia. My mom passed away, right? So my mom passed away. She left me her house, me and my sister. So for just a while, I have no bills after I left California, right? So I closed my practice. That was the first time I had my practice. I closed my practice. I moved to my mom's house for free. I'm living for free because it's my mom's house, right? So he shows up to my mom's house. I call the cops, but I have no restraining order now. So what do? They were like, oh, ma'am, the best we can do is give him a trespassing warning. From that point, I was like, I need protection. So then that's when I got piggy bank. My aunt, if she sees this, she's gonna laugh because she's like, you got your piggy bank and your coins, girl. I got my piggy bank and my coins, auntie. I do. She was like, go get you your piggy bank and your coins and you straight. But he never came back after that time, thankfully, because I called the cops on him and he was afraid to be, and he's half Caucasian and half Black. And so he always tells people he's white, which is another whole, like, you not that light, pretty much. But he's still telling people that he's white. But I'm dark. Colorism. This is every day I'm living with this man from 18 to 32. Like my whole 20s, I was with this man, living, thinking that it's me. Even still. Now that I moved and I'm gone, I started my practice again, second practice. But same practice, same name, I just restarted. But many of my clients, I took them with me because I was doing virtual. But I restarted. That's time number 2, second time. Making money this whole time because it's my blueprint. This is my blueprint. I just do it again, rinse and repeat. So working, I meet a soldier because I need protection, right? And I'm thinking, well, finally now he's not a nurse. He's a good guy. My twins dad. So I have my ex-husband and I have my twins dad. I have 3-year-old twins. So he went to go get my twins right now. My oldest son. So my twins dad, he was in the Army for 15 years, going on almost his 16th year, and he decided to be honorably discharged from the Army. But he was my soldier. He was a protectant for me, right? And I felt safer knowing that he was there with me because, if you think of my rationale, I wanted protection. Nonetheless, he is involved in his other things, and I still have my second practice member. He gets arrested. This man gets arrested. And I'm like, what? So I closed my practice because I was afraid for my patients. Come to find out, the reason why I closed my practice is the day that I found out that my phone was tapped. My media was tapped. So I was worried that anybody that talks to me would be in the thrall. So I didn't tell nobody. I literally I bought this house. I left Georgia, my mom's house. I moved with him between that time. So I left Georgia, bought this house, bought a new car, moved to Texas, Houston, Texas. Didn't tell nobody. Nobody. People in California didn't even know I left because I thought I was still in Georgia. But I went ghost. I wasn't on social media because I was worried that anybody that I would come into contact with would be, in the thralls of his BS. But I knew I'd already spent 11 years with somebody and I couldn't do it again. So I told him I can't. I don't know what's going on because at that point I was doing my practice and I had a job too. And I'm like, I can't. I don't know what's going on, but I cannot. So you're not a ride or die? No, I can't be a ride or die no more. I got to put my kids first. I got to put me first. I know that last time I didn't put me first, that's what happened. I got to put me first. So I closed my practice down again because I was worried again for these patients. But nobody knew. I didn't tell nobody. I just went ghost. Even Iman was emailing me, texting me, but I didn't want to talk to nobody because if my phone is tapped and I communicate with you, then you're at risk. And my network is nurses and doctors and, all these people that I don't want to infringe upon. So no, I didn't tell my sister that he was incarcerated until he got out. And he didn't get out until October 2023. But I had bought my house. My daughter said I bought the house on DoorDash because that's how quick I bought this house. I'm like, I don't care. I gotta go. Peace, deuces.
You're in Texas now? Where are you?
Houston.
Houston.
I bought this house too.
Yeah. Now, my question is it safe for you to be sharing this story?
It is now. Because I did talk to the FBI, the ATF, everybody. I'm like, I've cut ties with, now mind you, he's still my twin's dad, but I didn't even know what happened. And I'm thankful for that. Maybe he spared me. I don't even know, but I don't even care. I don't want to know. That has nothing to do with me. And I don't know.
Yeah.
So I talked to everybody and I'm like, I need to feel safe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So not to mention around the time that he got arrested, my Instagram got hacked. So it was weird. This is it was November, I don't know. It was November, so my birthday. My Instagram got hacked. So I'm like, all right, well, I don't got Instagram anyway. My Instagram got hacked. And after a year of being here, right now, I didn't even feel able to talk to anyone until he got out. Until I knew it was over, I couldn't exist in the sense of I don't want to harm you. So I'm not telling anything. I'm not saying anything. I barely use my phone except for I was working. I never stopped working, but meaning not with my clients though. I was working for somebody. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I was working for somebody. And also that time Instagram reached back out to me and they were like, Nurse Rose, do you want your account back? And I'm like, my account, of course. Of course. Now I want it back. Yeah. And then they're like, well, we're going to verify you. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, okay. So because of in order for them to get it back to me, they verified me. They had to verify me. And I'm like, whatever, give my account back. I'll take it. So then Iman was like, girl, where you been? I'm not talking about it. right? I'm still not talking about it. I literally didn't tell Iman until maybe like a few months ago. And then she was like, what are you doing? You're working for somebody? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? If you don't if you don't.
That's how she talks too.
Yeah. But if I didn't help her back then, I wouldn't have had that person to like, and that's why I tell her, I might have been your mentor, but I needed you at that point because I was literally going to be quiet here in Houston and not talk to anybody, not tell anybody because I was still going to be in my mission. But after bam, bam, and then bam, I was like, Lord, like maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Maybe I'm not. She said, if you don't get up so quick and do and restart your stuff, and that's where we are today.
It's like the mentee coaching the coach at this point. Right? That is just wow, what a story. I feel like I just watched the movie, like your story, what you just told me. I've never heard a story like that before, and
That's real life.
oh my gosh,
That's real life.
I never. Well, I know this because I work in healthcare, but the fact that you lived with a person that this is their existence, this is how they are, and you are such a beautiful soul that people can actually treat other people like this is just beyond me. How, especially someone they're married to.
He sucked the life out of me. People would tell me, like, at the end of my marriage, and he would even not let me talk to my sister, like, you know, like so many different things. People would be like, who are you? Like, he literally sucked the life out of me. Literally. But yes, people like this exist.
But look at that. You persevered, right?
Only God. First of all, the fact that I didn't get a scratch off that one, I'm like, so then my mom was still alive at that point. She was like, I told you, if you don't use your talents. And so then in my mind, even when Iman was saying, I heard my mom, like, what are you doing? You're not working. Are you working for somebody? You working for people? Girl, not you, not the queen of private practice. We call ourselves private practice queens because it's true. Like I needed resource, but no one was starting practices. No one when I was doing it until Iman reached out to me, and then now then I see all of these other companies coming, but I'm like, if you go down to my Instagram, you can see from like my story from like 2012. So I'm big on championing about suicide prevention. And this is why, because I've lived it. And the fact that, again, like I told you, I was in there with other nurses, right? There's a problem. There's a problem. I felt like that was my calling. Like the Arlene Rose, who I was, left. Not left, but I became Nurse Rose, the real Nurse Rose. Yeah. Then my mission is to increase access to mental health care. And I cannot do that alone. I can run my practice and have my clients, but unless I teach people what I know, then this mission cannot be accomplished. So my real mission, 365 practices a year. I want to help people with either 365 businesses, nursing practices. That's my mission. 365 a year, meaning like every year I aim to support that many people to grow and thrive in their business, because once one nurse thrives, their whole community gets better. That's what nurses are. Nurses are community. So that's me. That's why I have to I have to grow. I have to it's uncomfortable to talk to people that I don't about me. It's not fun. I don't like walk around telling this part. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I do it because I do know that the postvention, and I say postvention, meaning this is not an intervention. This is a postvention. Now you figure, if I were not here, this would be my family's postvention. But because I am here, I get to be a part of my own postvention, my own crisis mitigation, my own solution. And my own solution is championing and being the change I want to see. And I do have other things that I have working on that I'm not going to speak about because I also believe that some stuff I keep quiet, like especially some of the proprietary ideas that I always have. I keep some of those quiet, but all I'll say is I'm big on crypto, I'm big on AI, and get money as
Right.
well.
Let's talk about AI a little bit since you
Yeah,
brought up the topic. So I'm obsessed with AI because I use ChatGPT like every single day for everything.
me
But I
too.
also watch a lot of videos on news updates that talk about what's going on with the future of AI. And I know that right now there's a bill that our union, California Nurses Association, is trying to put down that allows hospitals to use AI now for like in the call centers and
Hospitals
for
across the
remote,
nation are doing it.
yeah, like remote nursing, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like that's just the beginning of where AI is going to take nursing and just every other profession too. And it's kind of scary because I feel like, well, my daughter right now, she's studying computer science. I really don't, initially, I was for it, but at the pace at which AI is growing, I feel like these students that are currently in school right now for computer science, by the time they graduate, they,
Outdated.
they're going to have a hard time finding a job
It's gonna be
because the things that they would be able to do right now, by the time they graduate, AI is going to be able to do. Right.
exactly.
And also, if AI can't perform all of the tasks that they can do, companies like Amazon and Google and Facebook are not going to need as many employees who work in tech because they can just have one managing all of the AI systems they have in place, right?
Exactly. And that is why I tell nurses, you have to start your business.
Yeah.
You like this, that's exactly why. Like if like nurses, I feel aren't realizing the bigger picture. Exactly what you're saying. Like this is exactly what I preach on a daily regular. If you do not start your business and grow and you're not able to go pick up your extra 12-hour shift, what happens to your family?
Yeah.
Because that is exactly what's happening. That is, but no one could see the connection of the dots.
Mhm.
That is the trajectory. If AI continues on the pace that we are on, right? If nothing changes, and AI will continue to grow,
Mhm.
guaranteed. There's no stopping AI now. Like what? My other book. I'm a big book person.
The coming wave.
Yeah,
Yes, the
I'm a big
coming
book
wave.
person. There is no stopping AI now. So the moment that we forget that, then we become complacent and we don't grow. And if we do not grow, that means we die. What is something that's not growing is death, right? So if nurses, the whole field doesn't morph in some way or form, then it could potentially be to a degree. And I mean, people might beat me up for saying this, but I'll fight back now, right? It could be obsolete in some different manner, way, or form, right?
I
And
agree.
so if we do not see that, then you know what I'm saying? That we're not thinking ahead. And the way that you win, the way that you really make money is you get there before anyone else. That's how you make money.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we have to read. We have to figure out what's going in and how can I leverage that? How can I leverage that to make me more money ahead of everybody else? Because the moment I do that, I've already put myself, first of all, in the 10%. And then when I leverage it, I put myself in the 1% because no one's thinking like that.
Yeah, I've been in several department meetings in many hospitals that I've worked at, and I remember the majority of the time because we talk about like the finances in the department, the budget in the department to see where we stand. And there's been times where I've heard our directors say that about 60 to 70, almost 80% of our budget is allocated towards the nursing profession, towards the nurses in the department. And I think eliminating which position in a hospital would result in the hospital making more money. And it's nursing, right?
You answered it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because why would they not try to go for that first? I mean, surgeons, they make a lot of money, right? But the majority of the budget in a hospital goes towards nursing.
But they're
And
already using robotic surgeons.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that actually got me to think physicians would probably be a little bit easier, like surgeons specifically, would be a little bit easier to replace. However, surgeons would still have to operate or
Of
be
course. Yeah,
present, right?
we get it.
But they would be building robotics that could, let's say, scan the brain, go into the brain, and perform the surgery. Like if you think about AI, how powerful AI can become, it can detect where the tumor is located and perform the surgery on its own right? So that's how powerful AI is going to become in the future. So you and I, we were talking about a business idea that I have, and I've tried to reach out to people on Fiverr to build this business idea, and they feel like it's too much work. I've tried going to agencies. They're overcharging like $20 to $30, $40,000 a month. And then I also tried on Reddit, and a lot of these people have started up their own businesses. It's like called Reddit, Reddit's startups or whatever, something like that. Anyway, so I reached out to them and I told them my idea, and I told them, how can I go about it? Some of them said, maybe I can just try building something really basic on my own. Others said that if I really want to build something big, like a huge company, then I need to have a tech founder, like a co-founder.
You don't need a founder. You don't need a co-founder. You don't. Whose capital are you using?
My own at the moment. However, I will say this. I made a post about it in my story. And so I collected data from them. I collected email and inputs. I collected whether they'd like to invest on marketing if I create this company, marketing, capital, so on and so forth. And if they wanted to invest in capital, how much would they be willing to invest? And as you know, all the information that I gathered just on that one post, I would be able to raise about $400,000 just from those people that responded.
So what is the problem?
The problem is I need to get a working prototype at least so I can raise the capital.
Anytime you are pounding against something so hard, I encourage you to, here's what I tell my patients. Like, I use this theory, practice. It's called thought diffusion, right? So let's just say this is my perspective, right? This is my perspective because I'm looking at it all day long, every day long, all day long, all day long, all day long. Then I get my family member to come look at it. And so they turn it like this because they don't see it the same way I do it. So they look like this. They looking at it like this and they see their view. I got my view. They got their view. I show my friend. They look at it like this. But what if I put it way out here and look at it?
Well, you can't see at all.
You think so. But at that point, if it's over there, you can go around it. You can look at it from underneath. You can look at it from the right. You can look at it from the left. You can look at it from the top. You can look from the bottom. You can look at it 360. And then you have oppositional perspectives. And then you can choose which one of those perspectives you run with instead of keeping it stuck right here where you can't see nothing because it's too close to you. That is the simple view of objectivity. Well, anyway, you just got a free coaching session. By the way.
That's true. I should be sending you a check.
Yes. Let me send you my my PayPal information.
All right. So let's go over what you actually do then for people. What do you do for nurses, and how can you help them?
So how do can I share?
Oh yeah, let me see. Let's do that.
So okay, this is a freebie. This is my Nurse Rose Side Hustle Bible, and this is why I got 400 some downloads on this in like less than 2 weeks because it just makes sense. So if this was me, how would I approach it? So now I go to the money. I go to where the money is. I go in reverse. I tell you all the time. I go money down because that is a money making field. So next, you go to this one. You see how much it's growing. It's not that much. It's a little bit. But you're going to go to the one that's growing the most, right? So content marketing, I already told you about marketing. That's a real big one, digital media marketing. So this is how much is in this industry. There's money there. So you literally need to park there and figure out how to get it, how to squeeze that juice from that market. So then you see that's small money per hour because then you're selling your time for money. No, I go here. Home healthcare services. That means why aren't some people in opening new home health agencies? Because look where the money is. Then you keep going. And these are just my ideas that I then go back and go do the money research. And so this is one product. My other product, so this is, I reverse navigated solving the problem. I put the name of whoever the person is that I gave, it's nobody, but I just gave my mind, what is it that their problem is? And I reverse navigated what they need. So for example, if someone has been in the nursing field like me for as long as they have been, and they haven't started their practice yet, and they're working for someone and they're making, let's say, $75 an hour as a nurse practitioner, which is low, it's hella low and it's bad. They really have a desire to make money more than anybody else. They're more likely to want help because they've been doing this for long. They're tired. They aren't seeing any change. They're not liking the results, but they've been doing it for so long now. They badly want it. So then I think, what is it that they want? They want to know how to start a practice. I know how to do it. I've done it 3, 4 times. Again, do not reinvent the wheel. You simply take another look at it and go back. So if I'm doing it, how would I do it? What would I do? I tell them what I would do, how I would do it. And of course, I'm always going to try to make money off of anything. So I went to all of the companies that they're going to need to work with. And I asked them to give me affiliate links. So when I give these people my freebie and they click those links, guess what happens? What I get?
Commission out of that.
Commission. Just for doing nothing. I wrote one book. If I have 400 downloads on my last freebie, and this now is solving a real big problem for a big population of nurse practitioners. It's a huge problem because they're tired, right? They're going to want this. So I have affiliate link there because it solves their problem and I'm giving them who's going to do it for them. So it's literally a no-brainer why the money just trickles into my account because you reverse navigate the problem. And that's where the money lies. It's in the parking lots. So again, remember, the telehealth market is this big. The money is there. So I just helped people access it faster because I've done it already. And again, that is what I do for people. And so I help people. And now I even have a new done for you. I've started so many practices at this point. I got a done for you model. So you can pay me $20K and I'll start your practice for you. All you do is you give me I have a bunch of questions that gets me to know who you are, who you want to serve, why you want to serve them. But if you come and tell me you just want to make money, you can't be my client because that is not, I'm not in the money-making business. The money is a product of the why. So if you have no why, then you cannot have no money. For example, I dare you to try not doing that. Why are you laughing? Tell me why you laughing.
You mean try not doing this idea?
Yeah,
I cannot.
I dare you.
I have to.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stop till I accomplish it.
Do you see my point? That is the point. So literally, you give me anyone with a why, and I will help them make money, because that passion is what I need to get them into their money parking lot. But if you trying to re-navigate it, you trying to get money with no why, I can't help you. First of all, I help people to make money. I literally break down their whole entire everything. They tell me their problems from, I go way down because mind you, I provide therapy and medication management to a large, my other population, right? Because I have a practice. I can't not be making money in my practice. So, okay, so here goes, let me see. My most recent, I think I put it in here. So this is a slide. This is a post I made. So again, money is a natural byproduct of the why. This is 11 visits for $3,000. When nurse practitioners are out here seeing 20 patients a day and they're making like $100 an hour. So if you get your calculator out, that's on average $263 an hour, when nurse practitioners are literally making $100 an hour. And that's all I saw that week. And then also it's about max coding. So I go and I sit in on insurance panels, coding webinars. I sit on billing best practice. I sit on billing no-nos. I go in and I reverse engineering material. And then I come and I go and get credentialed in the one that makes the most money. Because why I'm going to go get credentialed in the one that doesn't make the most money? And I go and I ask questions. And so I'm here. I put this out on my page. This is free knowledge, because it's like, why are you not billing properly? So I help people make more money in their practice. I help them start a practice. I connect dots for people. I'm literally a dot connector. That's just what I do. And this whole week, I only saw, that was last week, 11 patients, when nurse practitioners are out there seeing 20 patients an hour for $100 an hour. And I'm telling you how to make $263 an hour.
Wow. So if they were to see 20 patients at the rate that you charge, that's $5,200.
Let's get it.
About $5,200 a day. That's crazy.
My point. So then you look and you see a mom on the street and you wonder how she making money. It's literally my blueprint.
I love that.
I just don't like working hard.
We really do have to focus more on working smarter, not harder, because you could be an employee at McDonald's working your butt off day in and day out, and you're not going to make more money than someone who's a CEO somewhere working the same number of hours, or even maybe even less, a lot less than you are.
But here's the thing about this now, right? I have employees.
All right, talk to me about your employees then, and how much are you paying your employees?
Well, I pay what they ask for. So if you come and ask me for $130, I'll pay you $130.
What kind of employees do you have?
I have nurse practitioner employees. I also have virtual assistants. I have contractors, people that I pay. And right now I'm in the process of building a cohort of social media management marketers for like 6 nurse practitioners.
Wow.
Which they're going to pay them monthly. And I pay them monthly too. Not what they pay me, but I pay them monthly.
How do you find these people?
Different ways. So if I get a contact from someone, I'm going to be like, I need you to recruit for me and I'll pay you $20 to recruit. But I need the best of the best. I don't know anybody in the Philippines. So you recruit for me and I'll screen. Here's my screening questions. If they need to submit these questions to me and I'll let you know if they approve, they pass my list. If they do not, I'm gonna let you know they don't pass. But I'm gonna pay you for your work. Again, you just got a free coaching session and like you just got a whole free, I literally gave you trade secrets, things that I give my clients to help them succeed. That's just what I do. Right. So now some of my clients, they don't like doing things for themselves. That's okay. I got done for you models. So I'm going to train these 5 cohort of social media managers to help them go viral. And how do I do that? Because I've gone viral before. I go viral. I'm like, once you've done it, you see how it works, right? So I guess the highest so far is like 1.6 million of views, but I know how I can get more because it's simply a rinse and repeat. But I'm not worried about me going viral now. I already did that. I already learned now. Now I'm a rinse and repeat for you. But you gonna pay me.
You know what's crazy? I don't know if you know who Alex Hormozi is. I talk about him all the time in my videos. Okay, so Alex Hormozi is basically a centillion.
Oh, yeah, Hormozi.
The Hormozis.
Of course. I practice Hormozi's.
Okay.
Yes. Today, Hormozi said, nowadays, all you got to do is tell people what you're going to do and do it. And when you do it, they get so shocked.
But when you were talking about the views, it's fun to get a lot of views, right? It's great. People watch your videos. It gives you like this sense of validation. But I saw a video that Alex Hormozi posted maybe like 2 months ago where he talked about this registered dietitian who's on Instagram. She has about 6,000 followers on Instagram, gets at most, I think he said somewhere around like 20 likes on her post on average at most. And she posts 1 reel and 1 story, or 1 post and 1 story per day. She made $1 million last year. Because she shows registered dietitians how to code better so they get billing. Again, it's all about billing.
It's all, again, I put this for free because I say, if I'm going to provide you free value, and even my freebie, that's free. I'm going to provide you free value, right? Because that's my funnel.
Exactly.
Now I already provided you free value. So you already know, I know what I'm talking about. Right. And that means you're going to forever be my client. Not forever, but I'm not going to let you down, but I'm also going to have to deliver. Right. But the moment I stop delivering, then I give you permission to not be my client. But of course, not give permission, but it makes sense. Right. As long as I continue providing that value, then it's natural. The money is a natural byproduct of staying in your why. So by the fact that I want to increase access to mental health care, I have to teach you and I have to do done for yous because sometimes people don't connect the dots as fast as I do. Right. So I'll connect some dots for you, but you just got to pay me.
So where is your revenue coming from at the moment if you were to split it up amongst all your revenue generation?
So I have crypto, my investments. I still have my mom's property. I still have property. I have my ebooks. I sell ebooks. Oh, and I just published another book. So I have 2 books. This is a one coming. One is coming. So I make book sales I just released this one. And if nurses are smart, they would take it and run with it, because literally this
Nurse
is a
practitioner secrets. I'm going to link to it if that's okay with you. I'll link to it in the description.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. But in here, I give you coding cheat sheets. I literally give this stuff like for free, like water. Only unless you're looking for it, you'll find it, right? And so that's why I niche specifically. I stay niched.
All right. So if we have any of our viewers who want to reach out to you or are interested in your program, how do they get a hold of you?
So you can now download my new freebie, or download any of my freebies, and you can access my freebies by going right to my Instagram at Nurse Rose with the blue check mark. And I'm getting ready to send some cease and desist letters because I see a bunch of other Nurse Roses, and according to the US patent is my name. You can all in my links. I have ways to contact me, even everything. You can email me, you can text me to my patient line, not to my cell phone.
What's the website?
www.theroseYarde.com. The Rose Yard, Nurse Rose at the Rose Yard.
Okay. And if you enjoyed this episode, then don't miss this video here where I interview the psychiatric nurse practitioner who was coached by Nurse Rose and was able to earn over $600,000 last year.